All right, so we're always talking our faces off. I call it backstage, but whatever we want to call it, before this thing goes on. And then we hit record and we just stare at each other for 5 seconds. Now we're right back to it. But I think one thing that I want to start with, well, everybody welcome back to the Any Given Day podcast. Today we have Mark Christiani. Mark, you talked about being in more of a chill situation, and then you casually dropped, I get up at 5:30 and I go to the gym. So I'm going to let you know that my chill situation doesn't involve a 5:30 wake up. That is unique to you. You might need to recalibrate.
Maybe. I'm just so used to, it as a coach, you're just so used to waking up early, right? And when I was working on Fort Bragg, it was 4:45 wake up every day, get to the base by 5:30. And then when I started working for the Army Reserve, it got a little more relaxed. It was wake up at 5 o'clock, get to the base at 5:45, 6 o'clock ish. And now I do a lot of work from home. I do some human performance management stuff. So it's now I wake up at 5:30, I drive to the gym, I go hit my workout, I come back, I eat breakfast, I shower, and I'm on the computer all the day. So a high stress job because I'm working with a lot of people and managing a lot of stuff, but it is more chill in terms of I don't have to scream at anybody to work out harder.
That's you just only have to scream at yourself at 5:30 in the morning. What kind of stuff are you doing right now in your workouts?
So I went from powerlifting. I was a big powerlifter guy, and I did pretty well in powerlifting. I met all the goals I had. So about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I hit the goals that I had, 1,400 pound total. I think I hit a 1422 or something like that at under 200 pounds. And that was a big goal of mine. Then I went to a bench only cycle, which finished a year ago, and I hit a 400 pound bench. And that was a goal, at 200 pounds. So I want double body weight bench. And I was cool. Woo. So now I'm I completed all the goals, powerlifting wise. And I could keep going up, but it just felt like injuries were starting to rack up. And it's hey, man, if you push it much farther, you're going to have to turn this into your whole personality, your whole life. So I took a little step back. I started doing some CrossFit stuff, started just trying some different things. And for the last 2 months, I've been doing combine prep, NFL combine prep.
Yeah.
So I've been been doing my 225 bench, verts, broad jumps, some 5-10-5 stuff. Not the whole thing, just some of the main drills. And training for that, because it's just so different. I haven't done that since I was a college strength coach. I haven't really trained in that manner. I've been powerlifting focused since about 2019-ish, 2020, 2019, 2020, powerlifting, all powerlifting focused. Man, running a 40 is so much harder than you think it is. A max speed 40. I thought I would crush that. Went out there the first time and I'm well, my hamstring hurt. What did I just do?
You're in slow motion. You're dun, 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 dun.
And in my head, I'm flying. I think I'm going as fast as humanly possible. But I videotape it sometimes on my phone to get a time. And I'm go ahead, I'm just going to delete that. I'm not moving quickly. It's starting to take hold though. I'm starting to get a little bit faster. I got the drills down. Those running rhythm drills, speed drills and track drills, getting back into that was a whole learning process. Had to relearn a lot of the stuff I did when I worked for the track team as a strength coach. So that was fun getting to do all that kind of stuff and just trying something new, man. Want to try something new.
I think that's the key. Anytime training gets real narrow, I feel one, obviously you can risk just mental burnout. And I love what you said about it becoming your whole personality. But I think the other part of it too is you definitely physically, it doesn't feel as good. I think that the body, I think I've said this on a previous episode or I'm having deja vu, but the body craves diversity and some movement diversity. And I know as coaches, we always preach, we have to have a consistent exposure to that same stimulus to adapt. We shouldn't change things up so much, et cetera. And I've often taken a little bit of the other side of that perspective and just thought about, I understand, okay, program hopping is in oh, I'm on it, I'm off it, I didn't even have time to adapt. But I think if you go through a full training cycle, let's say you are in training for the combine and we're really emphasizing speed and coordination and rhythm and explosiveness and athleticism and all these other components. And then you go from there into something else where you know, hone in for 3-4 months on something. I actually think that there's a lot of value in that, and that they're mutually beneficial to a point and probably keep us healthy.
Yeah. Like I was a big West Side like conjugate guy when I trained. And for anyone that doesn't know, their variation is they change the exercises, not so much the like sets and reps. On your like max effort stuff, you're going to heavy, you know, triples, doubles, singles. Ideally in their world, it's singles. Like most people can't support that for long periods of time, but
Yeah.
you know, I hit a lot of heavy triples and a lot of heavy doubles, but I didn't, the rep schemes and the sets kind of stayed the same. The exercises changed. So I took that mentality when thinking about athleticism and training, like doing like some combine prep stuff. And yeah, I sprint, but I sprint different distances and stuff. And I did backwards, like sprints the other day just to like try something new. Cause if you can get better at other things, like if you're trying to make your bench go through the roof and you can get better at close grip bench, wide grip bench, then your regular grip bench is probably going to get better if those two got better. Just like if you get better at, you know, whatever it is, like a different variation of a squat, your back squat might most likely going to get better as well because you learned something you weren't very good at, you got better at it. So like you said, training variation, I don't think is a bad thing. I think we get a little caught up in our minds as coaches. And I know this isn't a coaching podcast. It's like turning into a coaching conversation.
It's this is relevant, I think, for your everyday. I mean, you and I aren't, you know, we're not trained for much other than life right now, right?
Yeah. And if you don't have variation, it doesn't have to be extreme variation, but some variation, you're going to get overuse injuries and you're going to just get into like a stale pattern of training. So if you can do more of a training framework, like, hey, this week I'm going to hit a heavy lower, a heavy upper, some repetition like arm exercises because like why not arms? And I'm going to sprint and I'm going to run like once or twice this week, maybe hit the mountain bike. You just give yourself a list of things to hit. And if you touch them all in some sort of order, you can create variation by doing the same thing, just in different orders throughout the week, in different states of fatigue. And then that's when you give yourself as a framework, you have some choices.
Yes.
And I like choices. Like I came from a CrossFit background, like way long time ago, like getting into CrossFit back in like 2010 timeframe before most people realized it existed. But they had a lot of variation and it was fun to train that way. Eventually, like I stalled out and it was like, okay, I can't do random things, but I got to like get some framework going. But a general framework for training, I think works a lot better than being rigid to like, I got to do my fives, I got to do my threes, I got to do my one, and then reset. That's a great way to get stronger. It's a great way to learn. But once you've got 20 years of training under your belt, variation is going to be helpful for you.
Yeah, and I think most people, unless you're training really specifically for something, especially something that like the exercise is the competition, right? So powerlifting, weightlifting, for example. Obviously, in those arenas, you have to train the thing, and there needs to be a pretty heavy dose of specificity. Though, to your point, there's still room for variation and variety to up the main lift, for example. But I think for most people, you can get probably as strong as you need to via the way that we're describing. I think you can probably get about as much capacity as you need for whatever you're doing. And by the way, I don't even just mean specific to like Gen Pop. I would say in, for example, most tactical settings. I think if you look at, for example, what Modern Athlete has thrown out there, what like Vernon Griffith has thrown out there as some of their sort of tiers for, hey, you should be able to kind of hit these numbers to sort of be average and elite and whatever else. Most of those numbers are pretty attainable while keeping a fairly diverse training approach.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where I think there's some confusion. As is working as a tactical strength coach, I would get people that come up to me and it's like, I need a 500-pound deadlift. And I'm like, you do not. Like, you do not need that. Like, you can't sacrifice to get to that point your ability to, you know, go for long distances, your conditioning, your capacity can't be sacrificed. So you got to find that balance. And I think with variation, you can kind of hit a little bit of everything and do, you know, kind of bring up a lot of areas all at once in that like concurrent method. Plus, like if you only live in this is like my soapbox. If you live in the sagittal plane, which is like our squat, bench, deadlift, run forward, run backward, like never deviate from that. As soon as you get into like in a tactical athlete in any sort of situation, rarely do you just run straight. You have to like plant and go another direction. And if that's a foreign concept to you, that feels weird. I would rather do that in training and not make it a foreign concept when it's for real. And then as general pop, like we don't do a lot of things side to side. And we have a lot of people that get injured when they go laterally doing anything. Like I'm talking like picking up the groceries, you twist and you grab your grocery bag and your back pops. And it's like, well, if you have a 20-pound kettlebell at your gym, maybe you do some squats that aren't perfect form, but you do a little bend or you like turn, twist with a manageable load and you train that to how to brace against that. So just have some, and plus have some fun with it. Like if training's not fun, then why are you doing it?
Wait a minute. Now you're just talking nonsense. We can have fun while training.
It's like, I picked up this whole thing. Like I wanted to do a combine prep, like for an NFL combine because it sounded fun to me. Like I watched they were getting ready for the combine. I was watching some of the exo stuff that they were doing. I'm like, oh, that looks fun. I bet I could get my old ass to try that. So like, let's give it a go.
I will say I showed up, that's the whole idea, like any given day, that's the idea, right? Like on any given day, I want to be able to do anything. And an example of that is the other night, the soccer dads did a late night pickleball. And one of the guys who plays all the time, I've played like once in the last year. And one of the guys who plays all the time is like, hey, you might be really sore from like moving side to side. And he's like, just to warn you, and I'm like, oh, I train like that all the time. I'm not worried about it. And I was totally fine. The other dude that played with us, I'm sure he works out. I'm sure he also doesn't work out in really an athletic way. And I'm going to guess he's probably still sore from that night.
No, that's true. Like same pickleball story. Like when I was working for the Army Reserve, they had a pickleball court in their drill hall for the reserve center. It was cool. So a bunch of people would go play at lunch. And when they first built it, like the guys there were 2 or 3 people that played all the time. And they got everyone into it. And when people would come out there the first time, they would come up to me and they're like, Coach, I think I like tore something in my hip. I'm like, you didn't. You're just sore. Just like, it's okay, man. Give it 24 hours. And they're like, yeah, it feels better. Like, why am I so sore? It's like, they're like, I run fast and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, but you don't do anything side to side. Now you're stopping. Like, that's the thing too. You're stopping.
Oh, yeah.
You're going fast and you're stopping. You don't normally do that. And they're like, oh yeah, like, so I should play pickleball more? I'm like, go for it.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Throw that into the portfolio. I mean, my heart rate stays high. Of course, I'm an effort guy. So like, I don't have skills. I'm going to try to offset that with effort. And so I'm like, man, I'm rocking like 140s here in the heart rate. This is a legit workout for me. Maybe if I was good, it wouldn't be.
I'm with you. I'm running around the whole game because I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, don't ask me to keep the fucking score because that is the hardest part of pickleball is the score. And I'm like, look, I just dove. I'm bleeding from the knee right now. I don't know if 1 or 2 is serving. Don't ask me these hard questions.
I'm going to serve it. You tell me what to do. You tell me the score.
Yeah. Yeah. I can even be losing. That's fine. Dude, Jason Clark is going to be so stoked that we were talking about pickleball on this podcast right now because he has gotten like super into it. And he is good. I need to get out and like get my butt kicked by him sometime. But yeah, I'm gonna be like, dude, you got to listen. Pickleball episode.
Pickleball is fun. Like it's fun.
It is. Yeah.
You're probably not going to get hurt doing it. You'll be a little sore like the first time you played if you don't like train in a certain way, but like you're not going to get hurt doing it. It's fun. It gets people outside. Anything that gets people outside and like putting in some effort. Like one of my reservists, he never was not like a big workout guy, right? Played pickleball for like 6 months, every day at lunch, an hour, every day, like covered in sweat. Does his, fitness test. And he's like, I dropped 2.5 minutes off my run time. He's like, everything else got a little better too. Like deadlift didn't get better, but like everything else got better. It's yeah, man, because you lost like 15 pounds and you're out there doing something physical every day. It's crazy how that works. You don't have to go for a 2-mile run. Just like go play some pickleball, have fun.
I mean, really, you do a couple heavy lifts and some pickleball, and you've probably got a pretty decent foundation going.
Yeah. Practice a little bit 2 weeks beforehand and you're good.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like we're on the brink of sponsoring a pickleball league at some point. Like, then this is like starting a new veteran pickleball podcast. Two guys who are not really pickleball guys. We'll pick
Yeah,
up Jason.
yeah.
Like I
It's
just
just
said, I played twice in the last year, and now we've spent 5 minutes talking about it, and it's the solution to everything moving forward.
I'm with you. I play like maybe once a month. Like if that. I don't even have my own paddle anymore. I just borrow one from somebody.
I mean, my parents are north of 75. They play pickleball, and I guarantee that they would whoop my ass.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, my dad's like 70 and he's out there like playing pickleball every morning. Dude's more active than I am. He plays pickleball every morning, plays tennis every afternoon, and does 100 pull-ups and 100 push-ups every day. And I'm like,
Damn.
yeah, man, like you're going to live forever. I got it.
I mean, you got multi-directional sport that has acceleration, deceleration, and power component, obviously an endurance aerobic capacity. Like so many great things are happening in one place.
Yeah, there should be more of it. I think sports
Yeah.
should make a comeback. Certain sports should make a comeback for military PT, not football.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm in such a tough spot on that, because everyone was like, oh, we got to get rid of sports and the injuries and this, that, the other. And I'm like, what if we just did a better job of preparing guys so they could actually go out and play and not get hurt? Because other than we did play basketball one deployment and the injuries were not like, ACL, MCL. The injuries were like, this guy elbowed me in the face and then I took him down and then another guy jumped in and it was like a brawl because people couldn't play for shit. So they're like, well, if I can't play, I can always do combatives. So we're just going to fight.
Yeah, the fight after the game is what led to the injury.
Exactly. And I was like, damn it, because I could ball decently. And so I was like, this sucks because I can actually play, but now I'm just out here fighting for my life.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the injuries come from. It's just the fighting.
Yeah.
All
right, so
competitive.
Always over competitive. All right, we've gone fully to the right. We are currently in our retirement home playing pickleball and advising the other retirees on how to get strong. Let's take it all the way back the other direction to our youth, if we can remember back that far. And I probably shouldn't say we, because I bet you're considerably younger than I am. But if you can remember back to your youth, what inspired you to join the military?
All right, so it was less of an inspired and more of a like, this is something to do, I guess. So my dad was in the military, so I grew up around the military. And there's pictures of me like wearing his jacket when I'm like 2 years old. The old was it like the old OD green, like jungle greens and like desert camis and stuff. I'm like a little kid, like running around in that stuff. So I understood the military from a far level, not in depth. Like I just knew my dad was in there until I was about 10, right? Like 9, 10 years old. He got out, and I had a lot of respect for the military. Enjoyed everything that like my dad had told me, all the stories and stuff like that. Him and my mom were big on like, don't go join the military. So went to high school, went to college, just, never really thought much of it. But always, I had some friends that were in ROTC and I'm like, this would be really cool. I really would like to do this. Got a job right after college graduation and I was working in a worksite health and wellness. Strength coach, personal training, worksite health and wellness, which was interesting, but I was teaching like spin classes and stuff. And I was like, this is not my jam. Like, it's cool. I like the people. Everyone's very nice. It was working with general population, which was great. I learned a ton from them. I learned how to do an ROI calculation, which is like served my career great. But it just wasn't like hitting the goal. Like it just wasn't enough. Right. Military recruiting station was just down the street from where I worked here in Tampa, Florida. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go see what they have to say. I went in and talked to the Air Force recruiter first. And he's like, nah, man, you have a tattoo on your ankle. You can't join the Air Force. And I was like, cool. And it was a weird time, 2012, like into 13. So I went over to the Army recruiter guy and the Army recruiter guy's like, all right, man, like come back tomorrow and do a PT test. And he's like, and if you're, he's like, you look like you can run or something. I don't know. Like, if you're okay, like we'll talk, right? And I was like, cool. So I'd been doing CrossFit for like years at that point. I was a cross country runner. Like I was running I was doing triathlons in my spare time, like at this point,
Damn.
and doing CrossFit. So I showed up to the recruiting station. This dude he didn't think I was kind of skinny. I was like 160 pounds at 5'9". Like I was just kind of like a skinny runner dude. And I cranked out like max the push-ups, max the sit-ups, and ran like a 12-minute 2 mile. And he was like, man, like, yeah, okay. We can talk. Like, let's talk.
Yeah.
And then like I went through I went to college, I filled out all the paperwork, and I'm sitting in his office filling out the paperwork, and he's like walking me through it. And I'm like, bro, I know how to do paperwork. Just like hand me the paper. And the guy did not trust me that I would pass a drug test. I'm like, I could take a drug test right now. Like I have a professional job. Like I have a job.
Yeah.
Like show up to every
I'm
day.
an adult.
Like I have to sell a house before this happens. Like I need to I'm good. And he just didn't believe me. We went and took the ASVAB, scored well, told him that I wanted an 18 X-ray contract. He tried to talk me out of it in every manner possible. Like he was like, do not do that. He's like, they're going to make you go to war. And I was like, that is what I'm signing up for.
He's like that. Yeah, that's the point, man.
Yeah, got to MEPS, and they were the dude spent so much. He's like, we don't have any 18 X-ray contracts. And I'm like, that's not true. I looked it up on the internet. You have unlimited 18 X-ray contracts. Like, it's an infantry contract. I'm like, you have unlimited. Let me sign the paper. And he's like, okay, whatever. Like, sure. So like signed my paper, had a ship date like 3 weeks later. So I got rid of all my stuff, dropped straight off at my parents' house, and then came back, shipped out, went to basic training, went the 18 X-ray pipeline, made it through SOPSI, made it through SF selection. Last day, they were like, not selected. You don't have enough military experience. And I was like, that's fair. I accept that. I've been in the military about like 6 months, maybe at that point. Fair criticism. But one of the cadre liked me. He was cool with me. And he was like, hey, I used to be a ranger. You want to be a ranger? And I was like, well, my dad had a ranger tab. Like, that sounds cool. And he's like, all right, you're going to get off the bus, tell him your name. And the guy with a tan beret is going to like make you do push-ups and then sign a piece of paper. So I did all that. A few months later, 2 months later, went to RASP, like right after SF selection, went to RASP, did that whole thing, ended up at First Bat, enjoyed my time there, learned a ton, would not have my career today without that, because that's where I met strength and conditioning coaches that worked in the military that didn't know it was a career. And that led me to be a strength and conditioning coach in the military in the tactical setting for a while. And so like really owe the military, got a master's degree out of it, got all the experience I needed to like be exposed to the career that I'm now in. And I think I'm doing okay at, like moderately okay at.
I mean, I think you're probably crushing it, but I know you're not going to say that.
I have a good career. I like what I do every day. And I think you can't put a price on that. So, but without the military, I wouldn't have had any of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's kind of how I fell into it, because I was bored with my job at corporate fitness.
And I definitely get that. It's probably part of why I went back in, was just like, I'm like, this isn't the world that I want to live in. I miss the old world. So what year do you think around did you get to First Bat?
I got there around 2013 I joined. End of 2014 timeframe. Like end of 2014, early 2015. Is kind of when I did my first training cycle, is that 2015 training cycle, because they were getting back from deployment. Interesting. Like I got there and there was no one around, and I'm like, this is easy. And then everyone showed back up and I'm like, this isn't easy anymore.
Yeah, you're like, this sucks. Everyone hates me.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
like I had the opportunity to go to Ranger school. Got my Ranger tab, like enjoyed that experience. I think that was one of the best learning experiences of my life. Like it was terrible, but I would not have traded that for anything. Like you learn so much there.
Yeah, and I think you take a lot of it with you, maybe without even knowing it. I do a terrible job of sort of sitting back and reflecting and connecting, I guess, pieces of who I was to pieces of who I am. But lately I've been doing a little bit more of that. And I was literally just the other day kind of thinking back to Ranger School and recalling some different moments. And I was like, man, I really grew up in that moment, or I really figured out a part of leadership in that moment, and whatever it was. That I don't even know if I knew it at the time, but I guess I realize it now.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think I listen to the Pat McAfee show every once in a while, and he talks about like NFL locker rooms and like how everybody from all these different backgrounds has to come together for a common goal. on good teams, like people don't hate each other. They might be different, have different views on everything, but they all work together and they can all get along and they can all go out to dinner. And I think the same things for like Ranger school. Like if you meet another Ranger, like you instantly have a connection, and it doesn't really matter what background they come from, what they believe in. You guys can have that instant connection and you guys can have a good conversation usually. Like in my experience, like I can always have a good conversation with people. And I think if more of the world did hard shit together, there'd be
Yeah.
less like fighting about meaningless shit.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because one thing I've noticed in the transition is that to the civilian world, I tell people this all the time. Like if you walked around, a ranger, I don't know what you would call it, area, cough or whatever it is, but like you walked around a ready room, right? You are going to hear some of the most like disgusting, offensive, ridiculous verbiage you've ever heard in your life. But the difference is it's just talk, and it really is, right? Because there, all anybody really cares about is, can you do the job? Do you have my back? And you can disagree in the open, and you can have conversations, and you can even fight it out sometimes. And that candor and that like raw relationship is welcome. And I think that's so powerful, because what I've noticed in the civilian world is people will tiptoe around making sure they say the right things to kind of follow whatever bullshit rules exist. But then deep down, they might be really prejudiced, or they might really be, holding a grudge or holding somebody back based on something that it shouldn't be based on. And it's just like, it's such a difference between the two worlds. It's like one on the surface looks like it's the wrong thing, but as soon as you find some depth, it's actually the right thing. And then the other one briefs well, but beneath the surface is total bullshit. I don't know. I don't know if you found that at all, but
No, I agree. I agree. That's one of the things that I guess coming out of the military and going back to school was a little weird. Like I went into a grad school program in Savannah, Georgia at Armstrong State through like Georgia Southern. So like there was a veteran population. I had buddies that were going to school, not necessarily in the same program, but like that was something I found there. It was like there were things we could say in regiment that no one would bat an eye at. They'd be like, "Oh man, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. We're all boys here. Like, no problem." And you said them there, and people are like, "I'm offended." It's like, what what offended you about like the math problem or whatever? I remember they were
yeah.
protesting a math problem one day because it like I don't know, I don't even understand what it was. They were protesting the math book on campus, and I was like, I gotta go to class, like I got a lab to do, but like this seems weird. And like just there's little problems become big problems when you've never done anything hard in your life. And when you've done hard stuff in your life, big problems don't seem like that big of a problem. They seem like something you can overcome. It's that growth mindset thing that
Yeah.
like sounded dumb when I was in the military. And now I'm like, no, dude, growth mindset's all about that. Like you
Yeah.
can overcome a lot if you just put your mind to it and think up solutions instead of trying to think about like, what's the worst case scenario? I'm just going to complain about it.
I think we even welcome the big problems, right? Like it's almost more of our comfort zone. And I would even go so far as to say that sometimes when we lack the big problem, we create them, because
Yeah.
we don't know, like, what do I do with my hands?
Dude, I love living in chaos. Like
Yeah.
I I love having like when I'm getting like 10 emails and like phone calls and text messages and there's a big stack of things to do. Like I love that chaos. When I'm like traveling and going to all these different human performance sites and I'm just on the move all the time, that's great. When I was working for the Army Reserve and I like gradually just absorbed the entire state of Florida, it created chaos because there were like thousands and thousands of people and like hundreds of them needed to get in touch with me. So created chaos. And like my happy place is in that chaos because I can stay
Yeah.
calm and just kind of move through it. Wasn't always that way, but like I feel like I've come to that point where it's like that's kind of my comfort zone now is
Yeah.
I want to live in some form of like chaos, but like controlled chaos.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it is choosing a little bit about at least some left to right limits on the chaos, right? Like for me, I rather my chaos kind of happen 9 to 5 or out on the mountain bike trail or whatever it is. And not in my, relationships.
Yeah. No, yeah, I second that one. I'm with you on that.
Just makes things a little bit easier and more sustainable. Okay, so you had the unique experience of going in with a little bit of a training background, and then you said you were, exposed to even some better coaching, some good training while you were in. Question for you, what do you think is one thing about, let's say, the way the military or even special operations or Rangers specifically train that you would recommend keeping for, say, the veteran population, right? So, hey, you're 10 years out of service. What's one piece of that training that you should always keep with you? And then what's one thing you would suggest maybe is better left behind?
So keeping with you would be the consistency. Like in the military, we have PT time, we have consistency, and it doesn't have to be at like 6:30 in the morning or whenever you want, when like super early in the morning. But if you make a schedule and kind of get into a rhythm, like I know that's what I thought was like the most beneficial. I've always had a training rhythm. Like on these days I train at this time and these days I train at this time. These might be my off days when I don't train or when I do something else, but I have a training rhythm. And in the military, we had a training rhythm. I mean, I know, especially from regiment, like, we went, it was one training cycle and then you deployed and then you came back and you did the training cycle again. It was a rhythm. Like, and by your second time around, you're like, oh, okay, I know what's happening. By your third time around, you're like, yep, this again, like, got
Yep.
it. But like, if you can keep that rhythm or that consistency, whatever you're doing is going to go better because you're consistent at it. The thing that I would leave behind is 100% the like, go all out every session, no matter what.
Yeah.
There's a time
Yeah.
and place for 80%. And there's a time and place for a chill jog. I like listening to this podcast when I jog and like I put it on, I go for a nice easy run, nothing crazy. Like if I'm out of breath or like, not like out of breath, but if I'm like, get halfway through and I'm like, okay, like my shin's hurting or something, I'm going to walk for a second, stretch it out. Like that's not a big deal because I'm not like running from anything.
Yeah.
So I think if we can take that training mindset, like some training is good, we don't have to be maximizing it at all times. But yeah, consistency and then drop some of that like maximization. I think that works out better for training. In my opinion, that works out better for training. And then the thing, I guess, like to add a question that you didn't ask, the thing that I would do a little differently when I was in the military training would be during times of high op tempo, I would do something instead of just relying on the operation to keep me in shape. So if we're doing
Yeah.
like MLAB, we're jumping on airplanes, we're moving all night, I might go
Yeah.
hit like 10 or 15 minutes of lifting weights.
Yep.
And I didn't do that when I was in, and I wish I would have. I think it would have been more beneficial at the time.
Agreed. I wish I had any idea of the concept of like microdosing
Yeah.
and just getting those little hits, because to your earlier point, if we did train during an MLAT, we probably still went and did a full on training session. And it's like there is this middle ground that exists between nothing and everything. And it's called something. And sometimes we can just do something, but we just have this gravitational pull toward I'm either all in or I'm totally off. There's no in between.
Yeah. And I think just with general life too, that's a good thing to have, like that middle ground. Because
Yeah.
I know when I got out, it was cool. Like I went right back to school. So I got immediately into a rhythm. I had a schedule. I had consistency. I was in school and I was coaching. So I was coaching full time and I was in school. And I got through the first year. I went away for the summer for a coaching job, came back while I was in school, and then COVID hit. And my rhythm and my like consistency and my schedule just went to shit, man. Because COVID, like there was no
Yeah.
sports. So no college coaching. School was like, hey man, take this final online, like finish up, see you later. Like I presented my thesis on a Zooms call because we weren't allowed to see each other. When I lost that consistency, that's when I had the hardest time. Like for me, that was a tough time. Most like some of my friends were like, this is great. I'm at home, like chilling out, like, got a few months. Like for me, that was really tough. So I tried to like fill that time with other things and not necessarily like the most healthy things. And then that led to some longer term stuff, and then had to like figure that whole situation out and pull it all back because I was so used to like 100% or none. I couldn't just be like, hey, I'm going to do a little something instead of everything.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because COVID for me had the total opposite effect because I was working for the NSCA, so I was traveling everywhere all the time, kind of thrown into a new role, a lot of late nights, a lot of just kind of like, chaos and partying and networking and all that kind of stuff. And I loved it. I don't know how sustainable all that was, but I loved it. And then when COVID happens, when I was grounded, right, it's just stuck kind of at least home from work because the NSA pretty early went to a work from home environment, which I was really
Hmm.
surprised that they were kind of forward thinking on that. And so the travel went away. But what also meant was I could wake up without an alarm and I could train really regularly. And I wasn't looking at when my next flight was. And so it actually brought a little bit of stability for me. Now, with that stability also came some boredom. And that's probably partially why I left NSCA. But same token, that stability put me in a place where I was able to go to the next job that, Hunter was training me at the time, Hunter Sure. And he really helped me get just kind of like really just not just fit, but like healthy. And I've told him before, I would have never had a shot in the world at that job if it had come a year before. And it wasn't because of the change in experience, it was because of the change in me. And I owe some of that to kind of what COVID forced on us. So it's wild that the same thing had totally different effects on us.
Yeah, and I think it affected, like, a lot of people got affected differently, right? Like I had friends that handled it great. I had friends that, I mean, are still dealing with the issues that happened over that time. And it just kind of depends. Just the answer to everything. I know like everyone hates that
Yep.
answer, but like it depends.
Yeah.
And like my situation was like didn't have a good time over that. I think it was because when I left the military, I was able to maintain like that high op tempo just through school and coaching. And so I maintained that high op tempo for 2 years, and then my op tempo went to zero. And it was like, all right, what do I do? Like, I never got that like transition from military to like, civilian life. It was just immediately to like high op tempo, like two other basically careers, right? Like
Yeah.
school and full-time job. And then it was like, now you have nothing to do. And I'm like, oh, like you said, what do I do with my hands? Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And that's when I think some people get that hit when they leave the military. They're like, what do I do? I had that all planned out and then didn't plan COVID out. And it was like, boom, what do I do? I'm like, oh shit, this is what it feels like to leave. Like, this is what it means to be just like nothing left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is bad. I don't like this.
It's the beauty of the military, right? And Rangers in particular is the next thing is always planned for you. So
Mhm.
you can never settle. Like, okay, great. You finished, basic. You're going to advanced. You finished advanced. You're going to airborne, airborne to RASP, RASP to regiment, regiment to maybe deployment, maybe Ranger school. And then, even after that, oh, let's, demo course, master breacher, Pathfinder, SEER school. Like there's always another thing. There's always a way to excel. And that's what I loved about coaching was similar. Like, oh, I got to get my personal training cert, and then I got
Yep.
to get my CSCS, and I got to get my USAW, my RKC, and like you just start to accumulate. The Love Me book, right, gets thicker and thicker, and you just accumulate all these accolades. And so that was just a natural progression from the military into coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think coaching appeals to a lot of people who are in the military. I mean, the company I work for now, O2X, like veteran owned, a lot of veteran coaches. Veteran isn't like former military, not veteran isn't experienced coaches. Like there are experienced coaches too, but like a lot of veterans who are coaches there for O2X. And it's got that military feel. Like everyone's kind of boys. We're all going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's, can talk to each other. And because we have that like veteran community tie, it's really nice. Like big fan of working with that population. Then coaching in the military kept that population, right? It's kind of like the best parts of being with the military
Yep.
without having to shave. So like there are some good things to that.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, not watching, Mark has an epic beard.
It's just really dark, so it looks good.
And yeah, man, I'm like, mine never felt thinner and so inferior as it does right now talking to you.
So My mom is Spanish and my dad's Italian. So I got like all the dark haired genes
Yeah.
and beard
Yeah.
genes.
Full effect.
Yeah. Worked out.
So what has been your progression through coaching to where you are now?
All right. So coaching, I took kind of the traditional coaching route. Like I did the corporate fitness thing, military. So that kind of restarted my career. I loved, like, I owe a lot to being in the military. I really enjoyed it, like I said. But I will say, like, being there ended my career and restarted it. Like I had to restart at day one. So I went back to school and I started as an intern in grad school as a 30-year-old intern, which was cool. And no one, all the student athletes just thought I was like the new head coach because I was older than the head coach at like the small D2 school I started like interning at. So I interned for a few months and the head coach was like, hey man, like I need an assistant. You can do this. Like you can be my assistant while you're going to school. And so I got some teams, got the track team. I did some stuff with cheerleading. That was my first, like when I was an intern, it was like, don't mess up cheerleading. They're like, you can't do anything wrong. Just like do whatever you want. I got like the track team. A lot of coaches start with cheerleading because like you can't really mess them up.
Yeah.
Got the track team, did some women's basketball, worked as assistant for men's basketball and football, assisted with baseball. And the two of us, we had 16 teams at that university, was it Savannah State University? Then since they were D2 school, at the time, I bounced over to University of South Carolina for the summer because D2 schools don't have mandatory training. So that school wanted me to go. The head coach there was really good at Savannah State. He wanted me to go somewhere else to get more experience to bring back to the university.
Awesome.
So a professor of mine knew Dillman over at South Carolina, and I got set up there and I worked with John Griffin as the intern advisor. He was a great intern advisor. So I had some good mentors along the way. So I spent some time at University of South Carolina, learned a ton, did a full football summer program with them where you're like at work and all set up. You get there at 5, everything's set by 6, and you don't go home until like 7 or 8 at night for like
Ooh.
the entire summer. You get some weekends, you get some Sundays off, but not really. They live there. Obviously, like big D1 schools, like they live there. So I came back, finished school, was coaching at Savannah State, COVID hit, and Savannah State was like, yo man, we can't keep you on, no one's at school. So it's like, all right, cool, I need to find something to do. Like I said, not a great time, but I did get enrolled in a small school in Georgia and I was going to get a teaching certificate. So I was taking master's level classes to get a teaching degree, second master's in teaching so that I could go be a high school football coach or like some sort of like strength coach or something in high school. A semester and a half into that, the Army started its H2F program. I talked to you about it when you were at the NSCA a little while. The Army started its H2F program and I was like, cool, this is what I want to do. I wanted to go back to like the POTF side, work special operations side, but it's like, yeah, let's just go to Army H2F side. So got hired as an H2F coach. Weirdly, I got hired as a strength coach, had a good interview. And then the day after I got hired, they called me and they're like, hey, do you want to be promoted to a lead strength coach? Because we had someone bow out, essentially. Like, so do you want that spot? And that's how I ended up. That was the lead coach for Drew Hammond. I talked to Alex Morrow and he kind of got me set up with Drew as his lead coach over there on the MOPS and Mo side. And then was there for 3 years with Drew and 44th Med as the lead coach over there. Got to mentor a good team. We had a great team. They still do. That team is awesome. That H2F team is awesome. And we rolled out the first iteration of H2F on Fort Bragg, like full H2F. Then I bounced over to O2X. It's another contracting company that I'm currently with. And they brought me on to run the Army Reserve H2F program in an area of Florida. And then I just kind of like quickly absorbed the whole state of Florida's Army Reserve population.
Chaos.
Yeah, it was fun though. Like it was fun. It's more people. Army Reserve H2F is a little bit different. It's how do you reach people the other 28 days when they're not at drill. So you have to be very available and open all the time. Like my phone would go off all the time. It still goes off even though I don't work there anymore because word doesn't get out very fast. So they're still like, hey man, can you help me with this? That contract ended in February and being the Army Reserve, they didn't have a plan to like continue it. That's going to get kicked off again here soon. They're going to get back to that. But at the time, like they just didn't have a plan. Like no one planned for it to end. And when it ended, it was like, oh shit, our strength coaches are gone. Well, we got to figure this out now. And they're still working through that. because it ended, I was available and I was just going to look for jobs, right? Like I was out like scouting for jobs that last month. I had some interviews lined up. O2X had a position open up as their East Coast manager to manage these East Coast Human Performance Integration Manager. I interviewed for it. It went well. We integrated a team, and I got hired on to do that full time. So now I work with a lot of teams in police, fire, military setting. So I'm working with all these human performance teams. I'm getting to see what all coaches, mental performance specialists, athletic trainers are doing. And it's really cool to get that broad view. And then I get to meet some awesome people, man. Like I get to work with some great coaches, great people that really want to give back to the first responder, military, like police community. Get to hear about all the cool stuff they're doing and live vicariously through the coaches who are on the ground actually doing things now.
Yeah.
And, my goal is just to help all my OSS staff, my coaching staff, and make them the best they can be and help them achieve all their goals. Whether that's with our company or not with our company, I want them to succeed in every way possible. So make sure to like really go out of my way every time they need anything from me to get to deliver and deliver above and beyond. And then try to find areas that people might not be inclined to do themselves. Like I find that people want to be involved in national organizations like the NSA. They want to present at state conferences and those kind of things, but they need that push to say like, you can do it. And once you get that push, it's like, maybe I can. And you try and you apply and you're out there doing it. And you just needed that initial push. Like I got that push from somebody. Other people get that little push because they are good enough to do it and they do succeed. So it's good to see that. And I really enjoy that part of it. And that's kind of been my coaching journey, like through the years. Abbreviated, probably very hard to follow because I skip back and forth. And I did find out in there's one of your previous guests had mentioned this. When I was working for 44th, I'd been out of the military and I had 5 years of coaching experience. I applied for a special operations coach job. And on the phone, they're like, you got 5 years of coaching experience. That's what we're looking for. And then they said, you worked with the wrong kind of soldiers. You worked with medical, like 44th medical soldiers. Those don't count as soldiers in our mind. And keep in mind, this was a job for the Air Force. So like they don't have infantry soldiers.
You're like, this is actually way better aligned.
Yeah. So I had that experience too. And I kind of shot that dream and I was like, well, whatever. Like there's a lot of other tactical settings. I like working with the general population soldier better anyway, because there's more of them and they need your help more. And there's all these other cool populations, man. There's police and fire, badass. They're out there getting after it all day long. Like those guys are getting it. And they might not have the best stuff, the best facilities. Some of them do. Some of them have amazing facilities. Go to DC Fire's facility. That place is palace, like strength and conditioning palace, man. But might not have the best facilities, but they're getting after it every day. And the coaches that are working with them are honestly some of the best coaches that I know, because they are able to adapt a training program to minimal equipment, to hundreds of people from diverse backgrounds at all different stages of training, and really just create buy-in in a good program that helps all those like firefighters or police officers. So I love that setting. I love seeing those guys and working with those guys and being able to give back to that community, that military community, that first responder community, because I got so much from being in the military. I know this sounds like an ad for the military, but it's not.
No, I mean, I agree. At some point, Alex, Morrow is going to come on, and we've already chatted about what he'd love to talk about is how the military gave him so much. And I feel the exact same way. Like everything I have is because of my time in service. Like it did such an absurd amount for me and continues to do a lot for me. And so I love that I'm still connected to this community, even when my politics don't align, I will always align with the warfighter and with the veteran, and will be in, full support of both of those people because, yeah, like you said, and police and fire, right? Like people don't even realize the relentlessness of like the police and fire world. Like they're not going through cycles like we did in the military. They're just on all the time. And so you really, as a coach, have to be able to, you use the word adapt. Like you have to be able to adapt to those environments. And if you're coming in just like locked in the D1 weight room mindset, you're going to struggle. Like, yeah, you need to bring some of those lessons learned over, but you also need to be sensitive to the type of population you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Like some of the best coaches are the ones that I think spend time in D2, D3 schools because they're creative. Like they can make things work. not to bash on the guys that do like high D1 stuff, but I find that most of them just stay in D1. They just stay
Yep.
there and do their thing there. Where the tactical coaches, I mean, we have young coaches now who are coming out going right into tactical because they do a little bit of time with like an ROTC at their school or something, and they're able to get hired right away. They don't know anything different than like be creative and figure it out. So I do think that's a good adaptation that the tactical world is getting to. It's getting bigger. It's getting larger. It's getting more accepted as like a form of training human performance and its own right, like separate from the collegiate sports thing.
Yeah.
So I do think that's like a pretty big positive. And then you had a huge hand in that when working for the NSCA. The NSCA is helping drive that. I don't. They're fine. They're driving it. They're fine.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
bad things to say.
It's a big slow ship, but it is moving.
Yeah. And I think some of the police and fire, it's all departmental, right? Like it's very
Yes.
departmental.
Yeah.
But some police and fire departments are way ahead of where the military is because they've been investing for years. They have built out, from the time you're a recruit all the way through the time you retire, you have contact with human performance professionals. Like some of these, because they have a little bit less constraints, they're smaller. They might be a city. They only have to worry about a few stations in a city.
Yep.
They can
Less
provide all
turnover.
the service. Yeah.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
get staff in there that want to stay long term. A lot less turnover. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to deal with like people PCSing and moving all over the place. So like those settings are cool. Man, if you've never seen firefighters do 24 on, 48 off, like that is a brutal schedule. Oh, that is so brutal on sleep, nutrition, training, like everything. And those guys are out there just getting it every single day.
Yeah, and it's not the exception to life, like it's the norm. I might have the occasional day I get up early, but it's just this constant disruption of the wrench being thrown into my system all the time like it is for them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's something. Oh,
Yeah.
a lot of them are moving to 24 on, 72 off, which I think is a better schedule. I think it works
Agreed.
better. I hope
Yeah.
they kind of all generally move to that. But
Yeah.
we'll see, man. Money, right? You gotta pay more people. Money.
It's it still makes the world go round. So obviously this convo has a coaching flavor. We can't help ourselves, nor should we. And I think that coaching also is one of those professions that transcends itself, right? It's involved in everything, every bit of leadership and human connection, all the things that have nothing to do with strength and conditioning, X's and O's, still have everything to do with coaching. So on that note, I'm going to give one caveat, which is you cannot make it training specific, but if you had to give one piece of advice to the veteran or the veteran community based on your experience or your perspective or your expertise, what would that bit of advice be?
Stay connected in some way to that community. Like you mentioned, work like this is not training specific, but like Soldiers to Sidelines is a good organization. Team RWB, there's whatever it may be, VFW, whatever you have in your area to stay connected. Even if you didn't have a good experience in the military, I know plenty of people that had 3 years, they didn't like it. You still have that connection with people and you still did something that very few other people, like a very small portion of the American population has ever done. So if you can stay connected for the mental health and the ability to be part of a community, like I'm into the longevity stuff. If you're part of a community, you live longer. So be part of a community. And it doesn't even have to be veteran related, like join a run club, do whatever, but have a community around you. Don't isolate yourself. In today's world, like, I don't know. I'm sure you read about it. I read about it. We're continually getting more isolated. And that connection to other people is what I think kind of makes us human and makes it great because we share ideas, we learn from each other. So like create a connection, create a little community, veteran or not, but have some sort of community to fall back on.
So I always see the invite in my email for the Ranger breakfast. I always read about it and I look at the photos after, and I'm yet to attend one. And I'm going to finally do it based on what you just said. Stay connected. I'm going to go to a Ranger breakfast. I'll let you know how it goes. And I'm going to thank you in advance for reminding me to reconnect back to that community.
Hey man, you're still pretty connected to the veteran community and everything.
A little bit. I'm still more connected to coaches. I've been slowly trying to reconnect with folks that I actually knew, and pick some of those back up. I still need to do a better job. But, life be life, and we all could do a better job.
Yeah.
But regardless, I appreciate the reminder. And Mark, man, I appreciate you coming on, spending some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Like anytime to get an hour with you to talk, like,
Dude, well, let's line up some hours to talk that also have no microphones, that other people get to listen in on.
yeah, man, you're coming to TSAC, right? We'll see you at TSAC.